can I do about my hair because I can't just not get a haircut. So I made the decision to go bald. Hey everybody, my name is Omar Crockett. I am a college graduate with experience studying abroad in 4 different places, and I make these videos to give you guys advice to facilitate your journey to study abroad and to make the process a lot easier for you guys before you go. So after graduating college, I was invited to participate in this program called Black and Abroad. And what we did was we attended, I think, 4 or 5 panels, me and 4 other people who are of color, and we basically talked about our experiences studying abroad as African Americans. This was really empowering for me because I never really thought I would be on a panel like that sharing my experience as a black person abroad, and having that opportunity showed me that it's really vital for people to understand what it's like to be abroad as a black student, the challenges that we face, the benefits that come out of it, etc. There's many things that go into being a black person abroad. So the first thing I noticed while being abroad as a black American was people don't really look at black Americans as part of the American community. And this really this idea is a lot more prominent in developing countries, I guess, because they just have a lack of understanding and things in their school. They don't really learn about the black experience really. So when I was for example in India, people would ask me, where are you from? And I would answer the USA, and they would ask, well, where are you really from? And in my mind, I'm thinking, well, USA is the only, I'm from the USA. I'm a black American, but I'm still American. However, the other students in my program who are white, they would get asked the same question: where are you from? And they would say the U.S. But it was never followed up with any sort of question like, well, what part of Europe are you from, or anything like that. They would just be seen as these Americans. So that was one thing that I realized being a black person abroad, is that people just don't really recognize us as part of being a part of the American community, really, which is it's not really daunting, it's not really discouraging or anything like that, because I feel like as a black person abroad, since people don't really understand that, it gives me a chance to really make my mark, to educate people and to tell them, well, we do exist. Or the second thing I faced when I was abroad, the lack of products that we use for our hair, and people just not understanding how to take care of our hair, really. I went to a barber shop to get my hair cut because I was going to be there for 6 months, and I think after the first month was ending, I wanted to get my hair cut because it was about that time. And so I went to like 3 different barber shops, and one of them, I went inside, and one of them was just like, yeah, we ain't doing that here. The second one looked at me and was like, yeah, we ain't doing that here either. The third one actually looked at me and said, I can do this. He was confident that he was able to cut my hair. I sat down, got my hair cut, and it was terrible. And I wasn't that upset because I didn't go in there really with high expectations. In a country where they don't really get people who are black, they're not exposed to that really. So I walked out of there thinking, well, I have 5 more months here. Like, what can I do about my hair? Because I can't just not get a haircut. So I made the decision to go bald. I went bald when I was in India, and it was the first time I actually cut off all of my hair since I was like a preteen. And to an extent, it felt really liberating. It just felt like, I could feel the wind against my scalp, and just not having my hair, it gave me another, it allowed me to see myself in a different light and to learn to just love a different part of myself, my bald head, because I haven't seen that bald head since I was like 13. And it really just made me feel liberated in a sense, you know, just cutting off all of my hair. It felt good. And I remember posting pictures of myself on social media with my bald head, and people commenting and asking, did you convert? Did you do something? Like, what's going on with you and cutting off all of your hair? People just didn't understand, and I didn't have time to explain it while I was there. I just thought I would come back, and whoever has questions, I'll answer them. But yeah, long story short, India just didn't know how to cut my hair, and I just decided to go bald because I guess, you know, no hair, no problems. And it worked out, you know, I enjoyed it. I liked my bald head, and as you can see, I'm not bald anymore, but it was still a way to learn to be resourceful. How can I, as a Black American who is in a place where they don't have exposure to my culture, how can I make it work? You know, and I made it work. So I can't speak to the female aspect, but for a man, I think if you're a Black man going up to India or just anywhere where they don't get Black people like that for a long time, then I would recommend cutting off all of your hair. It'll grow back, it's just hair, right? So the third thing I faced while being abroad was people just not really understanding the generational trauma that comes with the Black experience. You know, people have questioned me lots of times, why are you guys still fighting? Slavery has been over for years now. And I'm, you know, having the amount of patience that I have has allowed me to keep my composure in situations like this, because I know for other people they would just pop off. For me, I am the type of person that instead of using my energy to argue with you, I would just use that energy to just educate you. There's still systematic repression that still affects Black people to this day. Just having to explain myself and my culture and my background to people. In the beginning, it was kind of frustrating, but I became a lot more patient while dealing with these sort of situations, educating people and just explaining how. Because I also came across people who would get confused as to why we call ourselves Black. They would say, well, why do you call yourself a color? Are you proud to be Black? And I would explain to them, well, being Black is not just a title, it's an experience. It's not anything that we take offense to. That's just who we are, and we're proud to call ourselves Black Americans because there's an experience behind that. Another thing I realized while traveling abroad as a Black American is how other people who are of African descent perceive their African heritage. Here in America, we call ourselves Black Americans, but they don't use the term Black in other countries like Brazil and Cuba. They don't call themselves Black, even though there's people who are darker than me, but they were not taught to view race the way that we were taught it here in America. You know, the one drop rule. If you're one drop of Black, you are Black. If you're white, then you're white. But in Brazil, they have like over 10 different ways they can identify themselves on like documentation and things like that. And I think it's a kind of like, here we see ourselves as Black first, then American, whereas abroad it'll be like, well, I'm Brazilian first. They don't really see it as I'm Black and he's white. You know what I mean? I thought that was really interesting because when I was in Brazil, one of my friends who's Dominican, she's also of African descent, she had asked me, well, how do you view yourself as Black there versus here? And you know, I didn't really feel like black there because no one really acknowledged that, you know. And so and I feel like the racial terminology isn't really a big thing in other countries where there is a lot of African descent. And I also carry that back here because I feel like as even Black Americans, we're so quick to see other people of African descent, whether they be from Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, and we're quick to call them Black because of how we were raised to view race. And I think that's kind of problematic because they were not raised to view race the way that we were raised to see race here. And I think telling them that they should be considered Black as well is kind of like, well, you're trying to make them conform to your ideology about what race is. And they were not raised to view race that way. And I think that was another big thing that I learned while being abroad in different countries where they view race differently. That's just a beautiful thing to me, actually. So you guys, this is the end of the video. So these were just some things I faced and learned while being abroad as a Black American. And I hope you guys like this video. If you guys want more content about travel, study abroad, language learning, all this, anything that relates to being international, just comment below any recommendations, suggestions, anything like that. I'll be happy to accommodate those requests. Thanks for watching.